5th consecutive sellout here at Canada Stadium, and perfect conditions for the Banjo Bowl. A comfortable day and a light breeze. Kent Austin's Riders have won 5 consecutive games. Saskatchewan hasn't won 6 in a row or started 8-2 since 1970. And there's Doug Barry. His Bombers won the rematch last year and have won 12 of 13 at home against the Roughriders. Can it be as good this week as it was last Sunday?
With the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, the way they played in the Labor Day weekend game on Sunday, hard to think that they even lost that game. That's how well they played, especially offensively. But as tough as it is for Winnipeg to win in Saskatchewan on Labor Day weekend, it's that tough for the Riders here.
Jamie Borum kicks it off. We're underway. And Albert Johnson's got it at his 11. And Johnson with the return out to the 35-yard line to set things up for Kevin Glenn and the Winnipeg Blue Bomber offense.
I don't know if that offense could have played any better on Sunday. Kevin Glenn has been averaging over 300 yards passing, has not thrown an interception for 184 attempts. There's the starting receiving corps. Miltstiegel, the leader. Picard gets another start at center, but Obi-Khan very close. In fact, he's dressed and may become the starter as soon as next week.
Starting lineups are brought to you by Holiday Inn Hotels. First down, play fake, and a quick hitter inside. Terrence Edwards has an early first down for the Bombers up to the 47-yard line.
Kevin Glenn, 393 yards passing on Sunday. His main target there on Sunday was Derek Armstrong, who had over 200 yards receiving. But he is distributing the ball to all of his weapons. He has nice balance in the offense. Terrence Edwards has been atop the CFL this season.
Edwards comes into the game 5th in receiving. Miltstiegel was tied for the league lead in receiving yards with Ben Cahoon prior to this week's action. And there's another completion to Edwards. Back-to-back first downs, and the Bombers have quickly moved into Rough Rider territory.
Well, the Saskatchewan Roughrider defense may have to change things up a little bit to try and shake Kevin Glenn, because he's right back in that groove. Terrell Dreniak back, and the defensive line at rush end missed all 9 of the first 9 games of the season. There's your linebacking core with Sean Lucas still in there, and then a couple of changes in the secondary. Jermaine Chapman goes to halfback. Arabin Justin kicks out to corner. Tad Cornegay will dress but not start in the secondary this afternoon.
Here's the first run of the game for Charles Roberts. Dragged down by Marcus Adams. Roberts with 83 yards last week in Regina.
Well, when you look at the numbers for Kevin Glenn over the last 6 games, there's a couple of things that just jump out to me in a big way. I mentioned the 184 attempts and 0 interceptions. I mean, to not make a mistake in that many attempts and on top of it complete 74% of your passes. I mean, Henry Burr has had a great month, but you can make an argument that Kevin Glenn should have been a co-winner of the offensive player of the month, the Canadian Football League.
Well, he and his counterpart today are 2 of the mid-season favorites for Player of the Year. There's an injured Saskatchewan Roughrider, Sean Lucas, who has been a valuable member of this defense, the strong side linebacker. 7 tackles last week at Mosaic. He is helped to his feet, and there's a timeout on the field here at Canada's early first quarter.
The CFL on TSN is brought to you by the all-new 2007 GMC Sierra, GMC Professional Grade, and by Coors Light. Who wants a cold one?
Sean Lucas went to the sidelines under his own power. Looks like he'll be ready to return in 3 plays. Tad Cornegy checks in. And on the second down play, Miltstiegel's got a first down and a whole lot more. And Clovis finally will force him out at the 23-yard line.
Exactly what you want offensively from this type of play. It's over and under where Stiegel is going to cross at the formation, knowing that he has a receiver on the opposite side coming in the same direction. So they're going to cross, and they hope that the defense gets crossed up during the cross. And as soon as they do, Stiegel opens up on the other side and makes a nice move in the open field. It works to perfection for Kevin Glenn, who is right back in that groove. Charles Roberts with a little block in the open field on Kitwana Jones to get his team in a couple more.
A beauty. And Stiegel with 20, 67 yards shy of Darren Flutie for number 2 on the all-time list, as Roberts goes back to what we know best from him. Straight ahead runner. And he's closing in on 9,000 career yards, honored before the game for becoming the all-time Bomber leading running back last week.
Still wants to play 5 more seasons. At his current pace per year, he would finish with 5 more seasons at around 15,000 yards rushing. Of course, Pringle has the record over 16,000, 16,425, but Charles Roberts may just want to go after that, wants to play 5-6 more years.
Second down, Kevin Glenn steps up, and it opens up for Glenn, who will slide down at the 10 for another Winnipeg first down.
Boy, does that look like the last play of the Labor Day game, where Kerry Joseph took the quarterback draw to the end zone for the go-ahead points for Saskatchewan. At that point, Kevin Glenn takes a play right out of the Rider playbook. It's a design call, drops back 4 or 5 steps. He tries to sell it by looking down the field. Often the quarterback will have the option, but he looked like he was determined to run there.
Bombers have scored just once on the opening possession this year. In fact, they have been slow starters most of the season. 33 first quarter points, but they're threatening here. And they go empty 6 receivers, and Glenn looking for Derek Crawford. Nearly picked off. James Johnson, who had a rough Labor Day, got his hands on the football.
Corner route, and Kevin Glenn does not hold the halfback with his eyes to O'Neal Wilson. O'Neal Wilson is in the flat, and he's got to hold that corner because James Johnson can come off O'Neal Wilson and help out in the back end on Derek Armstrong. You see how he comes up? He almost has that interception. Derek Armstrong, what a game he had on Sunday. Over 200 yards. Not surprised at all that Kevin Glenn went for Derek Armstrong there.
Best receiving game in the CFL this season. 2nd and 10 from the 11. There's O'Neal Wilson, and he'll be dropped. Another good play by James Johnson, holding Wilson short of the first down.
You know, James Johnson didn't have a great game on Sunday. He has really put together a very good year. 3 interceptions coming in, but he was matched up a bunch on Derek Armstrong on Sunday, and he got beat. And beat badly. A couple of mental mistakes. He is on top of his game early on in this one this afternoon. Almost an interception, and he holds Winnipeg short there.
So the Roughriders defense stiffens, and Troy Westwood is back. The man who named this game. I don't think that was the intent, but it's worked out well. And now Westwood, who said he got a nice greeting at Mosaic Stadium last Sunday, scores the opening points of the 2007 Banjo Bowl in Winnipeg. Bombers draw first blood here in Winnipeg, and on the sidelines is Sean Churchill.
Thank you very much, Chris. I spoke to Jerron Bolden yesterday, and he says 5 years in the NFL taught him a lot. The biggest, to be more aggressive on his coverages. Add that to his experience, and the Blue Bombers secondary just got a whole lot stronger. At the end of our conversation, though, he asked me, he said, who leads the league in interceptions? Well, I told him Ryan Phillips from BC has 7. He just gave me this big toothy grin, and he said, not for long. Add confidence to his resume. Guys?
Yes, number 21's back on the corner, and so is Ike Charlton returning to the Bomber defense. But here's Saskatchewan on offense, and the first pass batted down. That's the first knockdown of the year by a Winnipeg member of the front 4. Gavin Walls got him in on the ball.
Well, you know, Jerron Bolden is going to help this team. I'd agree with that assessment. I mean, you go back to 2001, Bolden was a lockdown covered corner. He's a guy that the Winnipeg Blue Bombers would put on the best receiver in the opposition's team, and then he would just shut them down.
2nd and 10 for Kerry Joseph. And the Roughriders offense. Joseph in trouble and down.
Oh, boy.
Dropped on the play by Jerome Haywood, who said after last week that he didn't like his game at all. Said, I didn't play well. He has an early sack in the rematch.
And entire defensive line. There he is, lined up right over center, Jeremy O'Day, and he's going to step across. Actually is picked up by Mike Abumeshrik. And he gets there. So a knockdown by Gavin Walls, and Haywood making a statement in the front four. They're ready to play in the Banjo Bowl.
4th sack of the year for Haywood. A quick 2 and out on the opening possession for Saskatchewan. And Albert Johnson has dropped deep as Jamie Borum gets set to kick it away. Johnson from his 40. And the coverage is excellent downfield, led by Yannick Carter, the rookie making his 8th special team tackle.
You know, Chris, you mentioned how Troy Westwood named this game over the last 3 years the Banjo Bowl when he said that the people from Saskatchewan were, what did he call it? The inbred banjo picking?
Not sure we really want to repeat it.
I can't remember. But since then, it's been called the Banjo Bowl. That's been the last 3 years. Of course, everyone in the province very excited about it here. And this is their Labor Day game, basically. And, you know, the Saskatchewan Roughriders, when it's been called the Banjo Bowl, have 1 win. That was 2005, and 2 losses.
Out of a twin tight end formation, Charles Roberts rips it straight ahead for another big gain across midfield.
And from 99 to 2004, the back-to-back games disappeared. They just didn't happen. And then prior to that, I can remember, as a member of the Roughriders, we never won in the back-to-back game in the second game here in Winnipeg. In fact, some of the worst blowouts happened right here in Winnipeg Stadium.
You're right. I believe it's just the 12th rematch of a Labor Day meeting since '77, but you know it's going to be annual from here on in. 14 for Roberts and a fumble. He scoops it up, but he'll get buried back at midfield by Terrell Jariniak and Marcus Adams.
And Ken Austin knows both as a player from the Saskatchewan Roughrider days back in the 90s and now as a coach how tough it is to win here in Winnipeg, and that's amazing stat, 15-2 for the Bombers. But you know what's been interesting about the rematches since they've been called the Banjo Bowl? The margin of victory in the games have been a total of 9 points. 4 last year, 2 in 05 when Saskatchewan won, and 3 the year before in 2004. So they've always been real close games.
Loss of 2, so 2nd and 12. Kevin Glenn, pressure, and he steps up again. And Glenn will be close to the first down. Johnson came up to make the hit, but it is a first down for Kevin Glenn.
Great decision by Kevin Glenn. You know, the quarterbacks have built into the rules the ability to hook slide and protect themselves from a hit if they choose to. And Kevin Glenn makes the right decision here because he knew he was only about 2 yards short of that first down. So that little dive to pay the price, to sacrifice, to take the hit, to get the first down is what Kevin Glenn's been doing all season long.
Scott Schultz in pursuit without the helmet. Better strap that on. 14 for Glenn, a first down. Back to Charles Roberts off the right side. Slicing through the defense. The #1 run defense in the CFL. But the Bombers are chewing it up here in the first quarter.
Going to hit the right side of that formation as he comes underneath, but I love the cut in the open field right there to go all the way back against the grain. The flow of the defense was taking them right to left, and he cut against the flow. That's what Charles Roberts does better than any running back in football, is to go back against the flow. If you're a backside pursuer, you better be in the right position.
22 for Roberts. Saskatchewan has not surrendered 100 yards rushing in a game this year. Derek Crawford can't bring it down. An acrobatic attempt. Again, isolated against the corner, James Johnson.
James Johnson slow to get up there, and Armstrong on the corner route has tried to get in behind him a couple of times here. And again, James Johnson, victimized a bunch on Sunday, has been in perfect position. That was going to have to be an acrobatic catch by Armstrong on the sideline. It looks like Johnson may have just got the wind knocked out of him as he went down, but the training staff has come out, so that means he'll have to leave for 3 plays.
So Johnson gets attention and will step out for a moment.
The First Down Line, brought to you by Rona, the Canadian how-to people.
James Johnson just making his way to the Roughriders sidelines as we return. Ted Cornegay will come in. And Bobby Kahn back at center. Nice to see that after the virus that really slowed him up. He lost 50 pounds in training camp. Just working his way back in. And a completion to Milt Stegall, who's close to that first down.
Well, they wanted to get Bobby Kahn back in the lineup as soon as he was ready, but he lost so much weight that the conditioning factor was one that they weren't sure if he was going to be ready. And during that commercial break and that injury timeout for James Johnson, Bobby Kahn was breathing pretty hard. Dominic Picard has played real well in his absence, but they want to get the starter back in. Picard has probably been one of the bright lights of this football team all year long.
We did see Bobby after the warm-up last week in Regina, and he was catching his breath then. And
yeah.
So you wonder, can he go a whole game? Is the conditioning back at that level yet? But they know they've got a capable guy in Dominic Picard. And Bobby Kahn will be a focus here because it's 3rd and inches inside the Saskatchewan 10-yard line.
You like to follow your center. If the quarterback on the sneak, go right behind the center, and that's where Bobby Kahn comes in. And you know, we've seen Charles Roberts have a couple of big runs early in this game, so he's making some blocks early on.
Kevin Glenn straight ahead, didn't need much, and should have 3 more downs to work with as he follows his veteran center back in the lineup, Bobby Kahn.
SFU Brad digs in nicely there and gets a good push. It looked like Kevin Glenn lost traction a little bit, but he did gain it in time to pick up the necessary few inches.
Roughriders already have, the Blue Bombers already have more rushing yards in this first quarter than Saskatchewan has allowed on average for a game this year. A well-balanced, well-oiled attack early. Now a ball into the end zone, and flag clearly to be thrown. Lucas with the interference on R.J. Franklin, who had a bust-out game last week in Regina.
Looked like R.J. Franklin went to make an outside fake, an outside move. And when he did and tried to cut back in the middle, that's when Lucas had to grab him, or it was an easy touchdown. Real nice route running
at the 1-yard line
from R.J. Franklin, who had 3 catches on Sunday, and really almost a breakout game for him. And he makes a real nice move here on this play. Watch how he comes up, little head fake to the outside, and then comes back inside. This is a real nice move. 5 catches on Sunday. Look at that move. And Lucas had to grab him.
So 1st and goal at the 1. Charles Roberts, number 1, touchdown.
Well, as is often the case in this rematch game, the Winnipeg Blue Bombers' intensity level slightly higher than that of the Saskatchewan Roughriders right now.
10th touchdown of the year for Charles Roberts.
And once again, Kevin Glenn just looks real sharp. He is distributing the football. That throw for the 10-yard out to Milt Stegall was on the money, precise for the first down to keep the sticks moving, and Roberts finishes it off.
Back-to-back 9-play drives. The first ended in a field goal. The second, a touchdown for Charles Roberts. First time the Bombers have hit double digits in the opening quarter this year. They lead 10-0.
Well, right now the Bombers have that intensity level turned up just a little bit higher than Saskatchewan. They need to match that intensity to get back in this game, but they've established the run with Charles Roberts against a defense that has been real good against it. And this is how the touchdown drive finishes, with Roberts going one-on-one on Maurice Lloyd, and he lowers his shoulders, and that's how powerful little Charles Roberts can be.
Roberts already 44 yards on the ground in just over 10 minutes of work. Westwood with the boot. Corey Holmes back at his goal line. And Holmes able to get it out to the 25. Jason Nugent, the tackle.
Well, to establish the run for Winnipeg, huge against this Saskatchewan defense, because when you look at these numbers coming into this game here this afternoon, to get 61.4 yards per game against the run, not one team in the CFL after 9 weeks as a team has rushed for 100 yards against the Saskatchewan defense. That is absolutely amazing. And already the Bombers have over 61.4 yards rushing this afternoon.
Gary Joseph's got to kickstart the Saskatchewan offense, and Wes Cates with a sweet move into the secondary, and this will get the Roughriders going across midfield. 31 yards for Wes Cates.
Both offensive lines now stepping up and making a statement, because Wes Cates hits this hole on the cutback lane right there. It looked to me like off the edge, Gavin Walls came down hard and then overran it. And that's why Wes Cates could cut back against the flow there. Gavin Walls just a little too shallow on his angle. Cates bounces it.
Bolden had to pull him down, but it's a gain of 31. And now Joseph back to throw, looking downfield for DJ Flick. Jump ball, and it's knocked down. David Bush in coverage against Flick.
You haven't seen the offense a whole bunch for Saskatchewan because of what Kevin Glenn's done on the other side, but here is your starting offense. We've seen the big run from Wes Cates. Give Saskatchewan try and get some momentum back. Mike Washington, 3 catches for 74 yards in his first game as a Rider on Sunday. Matt Dominguez, we talked about, over 200. And there's the offensive line led by Jeremy O'Day.
Back-to-back 300-yard games for Kerry Joseph. 348 last week, 343 against Edmonton. Here comes the blitz. Joseph stands in, throws a strike. First down and more. Matt Dominguez got away from Bolden.
This is a matchup that I want to watch close here this afternoon. Matt Dominguez against Jerome Bolden, who's in the lineup for the first time in a long time. His last team, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Jerome Bolden, there he is, and just doesn't get low enough, and Matt Dominguez shakes that tackle.
But no training camp for Bolden. This is his first game right out of the signing earlier this week. So he's right into the fire against one of the best in the league, and Matt Dominguez. 25-yard pickup, and now Cates the ball carrier. And Cates down to the 25, has 3.
There's one other change in the Winnipeg defense, and it's a big one. Not in their front 4. Their front 4 remains the same. Tom Canada leads that group with 7 sacks. It's the change in the linebacking core. They move Cam Hall to the opposite side and bring back Ike Charlton, who will play in that linebacking core along with Barron Simpson. Ike Charlton, of course, played last year with the Bombers, and there's Jerome Bolden out on the corner. But both with Charlton and Bolden, their conditioning is a question mark.
Charlton was second in tackles last year for the Bombers with 60. Here's the screen set up, and Neil Hughes with it down to the 16-yard line.
Bit of a change-up. Barron Simpson read it well. He didn't make the tackle, but he did force Hughes to cut back into the middle. You know, and I loved what Barron Simpson said about teams coming in and playing in Winnipeg. We told you how tough it is for teams to come in here. Certainly the Saskatchewan Roughriders know that feeling. Barron Simpson, his quote was outstanding. He said, "You can't let another dog come in to your backyard and use up your trees. We got to be ready to win at home."
Again, a jumbo offense, and Wes Cates the ball carrier, and he's dropped after just 1.
This is a big response drive, though, from the Saskatchewan Roughriders, because the intensity level for Winnipeg was higher. They had 2 good drives to start this game and that 10-point lead. So desperation for Ken Austin, Saskatchewan, to get something going, grab some momentum back. Even if this ends in a field goal, it was an important drive for them.
Ball on the 15-yard line. 2nd and 9. Joseph with time, has a completion. Vantouz, and with a little extra effort, he makes sure he has the first down inside the 5. Vantouz with his best game of the season last Sunday in Regina. 4 catches and 96 yards.
Made some nice catches, nothing fancy, but what he's going to do here, what he's going to do is come inside and just turn and present a target. Tries to get a little bit of an outside release, and then he just comes right back into the middle. Kelly Malbo a little bit late.
Ball for Fantus, first and goal. At the 3. Wes Cates straight ahead. And he'll be a yard and a half short on the final play of the opening quarter here at Canada Stadium in Winnipeg. 10-0 Bombers. First quarter stats brought to you by Rona, the Canadian how-to people.
Winnipeg got off to a good start. The 66 yards rushing is what's really impressive because of Saskatchewan's run defense, but I also see 0 turnovers both teams. Both these teams well coached. Both these teams very disciplined.
They don't give up the football very often, but you're right, the running totals more than Saskatchewan usually gives up in a game.
And that's why Winnipeg has the advantage in time of possession, because they're controlling the ball. They've got Charles Roberts going, and they opened up some holes on the line of scrimmage. Now, Saskatchewan with this drive we'll see if they have an answer.
Yes, we are seeing a response, though, and it looked like for a while Winnipeg might just run them out, but that doesn't usually happen when these two teams meet. Now Winnipeg trying to hold the line here is Saskatchewan. Second and goal. 9th play of this drive. And again, Wes Cates, touchdown, Saskatchewan. And Rider Nation celebrates as they get right back here in it early in the second quarter.
Yeah, really interesting what both teams have done here. The Winnipeg Blue Bombers, we mentioned, have established the line of scrimmage, got Charles Roberts going. Saskatchewan's response and the way they got back in this game with that touchdown is to get their running back, Wes Cates, involved. So both teams now starting to lean on their running game to try and get them out of the hole. Saskatchewan needed that touchdown badly and get it from Cates.
4th touchdown of the year for Wes Cates, who got things started with the big run on the opening play of a 9-play, 85-yard touchdown drive. Big acquisition early in the season for Saskatchewan. Wes Cates, who has 5 carries, 40 yards, and a touchdown.
A trade that worked out well for both teams. Calgary Stampeders got Rob Lazio. Wes Cates led the Calgary Stampeders in the preseason rushing the football, but the Saskatchewan Roughriders over their 5-game win streak have involved the run in a big way. I mean, look at the numbers from a coach in Kent Austin that is supposed to be pass all the time type of coach. He has involved the running game and has brought balance to the offense.
Here's Fred Reed on the kick return. And Reed across the 30 before he's pulled down by Mike McCullough. Anton McKenzie in on the stop. Kevin Glenn has been razor sharp so far. 2 9-play drives, 1 for a field goal, 1 for a touchdown. And again, they've done some damage on the run. Charles Roberts passing the Lincoln Locomotive. Leo Lewis last week, #1 all-time now in Winnipeg Blue Bomber rushing and honored prior to the game.
Those record-type breaking years for a lot of Bombers this year.
It's a special season so far, and yet here they are finding themselves out of first place, at least for the time being, with a win in Montreal that not a lot of people may have expected today.
Absolutely nothing wrong with parity. Congratulations to Montreal Alouettes for knocking off the BC Lions early on this afternoon at home. Jared Payton, another big game for them. So the race in both divisions tightens up a little bit because of it. Bombers would like to win here and get back in first. Saskatchewan can separate from BC with a win.
2nd and 3. Quick hitter. O'Neill Wilson's got it. He has a first down, and he'll be tossed to the turf by James Johnson.
You know, the thing about Kevin Glenn in this offense is how he's been able to distribute the football and how he has so many weapons. I mean, Charles Roberts gets going in this game early. That establishes the line. If he needs Milt Stegall, he's got that automatic. Terrence Edwards started the game with some big catches. And, of course, Derek Armstrong, 200 last week. He has so many of them. Not every team can say that.
Leads the league in passing yardage, and over the middle, O'Neal Wilson, and crunch. He ran straight into Fred Perry. What's Fred Perry doing there, he's saying?
He dropped back, and he lines up in the line of scrimmage right here, but then he drops out. And he becomes a pass coverage linebacker. Puts a pretty nice hit on O'Neal Wilson, who hung on to the football.
Fabulous. Fred's 43rd tackle of the year, leads all defensive linemen. And O'Neal Wilson wasn't counting on crossing paths with him on that play.
You're going to catch it anyway, or you're going to get hit anyway. You might as well catch it.
And he did. 2nd and 4. Glenn delivers low but complete. R.J. Franklin the catch. And he'll be close to a first down at the Saskatchewan 51. And it is enough. Well, check these numbers out for Kevin Glenn. 350 yards, 70%, 7 touchdowns, 1 interception. That's what he's done in the 4 games the Bombers haven't won this year. So you can't blame him for any of the losses. No. He's really been terrific.
Yeah, win or lose, Kevin Glenn has done his thing.
Fake to Roberts, and then they swing it out, and they make the first man loose, and R.J. Franklin has another first down, and Franklin really got a lot of confidence from last week's 5-catch, 88-yard game, and he has 18 more here.
Yeah, you just don't know sometimes when it's going to be, whether it be one play or one game for a player, to where they get that confidence and they say, you know, I can compete at this level. I can make people miss, because early on receivers are just catching the ball, they're getting upfield, and as soon as they feel contact, they go down. They don't want to have a mistake happen, so they get down in a hurry. But once you get that confidence, you can start making moves like that, and it seems like that one game last week has given R.J. Franklin that confidence.
Just his 4th game of the year. Here's another catch, as he was slowed up in the preseason by an ankle injury, but he might have been ahead of the game coming into this year, because he worked out in the offseason in Windsor with his quarterback, Kevin Glenn, a native of Detroit.
That's the 3rd catch in a row for him, and, you know, Milt Stegall said about him, he's kind of like their Ben Cahoon, except probably with a lot more speed, and that's the one thing I've noticed over the last couple weeks with him. Franklin has a lot more speed than I think people give him credit for.
Kevin Glenn, 11 of his first 13. As this march continues, 2nd and 2 at the Roughrider 25. And Roberts. And he will be close to the first down, but I don't think he got. Well, it depends on the spot. We'll see how close he is.
See how close he is. You know, those are amazing numbers when you consider the losses for Kevin Glenn. And then you see that he's still doing his thing, averaging 350. It also kind of holds true to his entire career. I mean, when you look at his best games ever as a pro, 2005 and this year in the first game of the season in the tie, that's the 2 best. He, in those games where he's been over 400 and then last week just under 400 yards, 1-2-1 record in his best games ever as a pro. So it's weird for Kevin Glenn that sometimes the numbers don't necessarily translate to victory, but that's how well he's been playing this year. 2 of his best games as a pro in 2007.
Doug Barry said, I can't ask any more of my quarterback right now. If he had one beef with last week, it's just the offense. Give it back to Saskatchewan one last time. It's 3rd and short. Roberts is dropped, but he has the first down.
Well, you know, I think Doug Barry should get a lot of credit because, you know, last year when Kevin Glenn came back from his injury, and people forget that he was hurt last year, he got off to a pretty good start. There was a lot of people wanting to run Kevin Glenn out of town. I mean, they didn't think that he was going to be able to take that next step. And Doug Barry knew differently. He knew that about his quick release. He knew that about the injury and how it hampered him, even on his return, how much it hurt him for about 3 or 4 games. So he knew what he had, and boy, is it paying off for Doug Barry right now.
3rd straight 9-play drive. This is the 9th play of this drive, and Kevin Glenn overthrows Derek Armstrong. And it'll be 2nd and 10. It is Armstrong. I keep trying to bring Derek Crawford back into this league for some reason.
And Derek Crawford was a good receiver, too. So I totally understand, partner. But
no, you shouldn't.
It is Armstrong, and he's, that was one of the very few mistakes we've seen between Kevin Glenn and Derek Armstrong on a ball that was just overthrown.
Next catch for Armstrong is his 50th of the year. By then, I'll have Derek Crawford in retirement. 2nd and 10. Time for Glenn, and interference will be the call as Armstrong was tripped up by Arabin Justin. The feet get tangled, and the penalty marker is tossed.
Yeah, and Arabin Justin, I don't think had to do this. I mean, he doesn't know for sure, but I'm not sure that Armstrong was going to get back to that football.
Interference. Saskatchewan number 24. Automatic. First down.
I'm not sure that ball was going to be catchable anyway for Armstrong, but Arabin Justin didn't know that when he broke on it, and he just climbed right up the back. Derek Armstrong gets called. He's had to move out the corner we mentioned off the top, so a bit of a different position, although he's familiar with it from his Hamilton days.
Look at the difference in first downs here in the opening half for the Bombers. First down with the penalty, and Roberts following Leslie. Charles Roberts down at the 2. Fred Perry had to come back to make the tackle.
If teams continue to get smaller in the linebacking core, that's Sean Lucas right there, and then you're going to see more two-back offenses where the fullback is going to be the lead blocker, and Leslie comes up and leads the way right there. And Lucas, who's only 200 pounds in the linebacking core, gets picked up early by the offensive line, creating a huge hole on that left side.
9 more for Charles Roberts. Haven't had a 100-yard rusher against Saskatchewan this year. There were 3 last year. Joffrey Reynolds twice, Roberts once, Kevin Glenn the sneak. And no indication.
Not a 100-yard rusher this year, not even 100 yards as a team against Saskatchewan this year.
55 for Roberts so far. Short of the goal line, but enough for a first down. So it's 1st and goal for Doug Barry's troops.
This is over a 7-minute drive by the Winnipeg offense, and move right down the field, and the reason being they are controlling the line of scrimmage right now.
13th play of the drive. Haywood in the backfield. Roberts the run. And Roberts close to the goal line. Any indication? I think he broke the plane. As it gets tough down there. Remember last week it was Winnipeg stopping Saskatchewan on the goal line.
Well, guess who they put in the backfield, Winnipeg, that time? They put big Jerome Haywood back there. He's the lead blocker at the fullback spot, and there he is in the huddle.
5'9", 285.
It's tough to get leverage and a leverage advantage against Haywood.
2nd and goal. Roberts again. Touchdown.
What a block. Oh, this is a mismatch that Jerome Haywood will take every time.
Outside. Saskatchewan. Decline. Touchdown.
Charles Roberts is going to go right off the block of Haywood, and the Riders cannot stop it again. It's Sean Lucas at 200. Watch Haywood right there in front of Charles Roberts. Slide across the line. He gets a kick out, and look at the hole he's going to open up. And if Charles Roberts goes to his right, he goes in, doesn't even have to get up off the ground. But it was enough of a block by the big fullback to lead Charles Roberts in for a 2nd TD of the game.
11th of the season for Roberts. Matt Sheridan also helping clear a path. And Westwood adds the extra point as the Bombers are up again by 10.
The CFL on TSN is brought to you by the all-new 2007 GMC Sierra, GMC Professional Grade, and by Coors Light. Who wants a cold one?
Well, the Blue Bombers chewed up 77 yards on 14 plays and 8 minutes, 25 seconds off the clock before Charles Roberts hit pay dirt for the second time on the afternoon. Westwood with the kickoff, and Corey Holmes met and crunched Adrian Baird with a big hit here in the Banjo Bowl.
One kick, and it's happened.
Let's see if Kerry Joseph can get things moving again and answer another scoring drive by the Bombers, which was capped by the Roberts run behind Jerome Haywood's blocking.
Yeah, he has to go in and play defense now, but I'll show you the big block that he makes. He's in the backfield. We'll stop it just before it happens. Here's Lucas right there, and here comes Haywood. Now, Haywood is just shy of 3 bills. Lucas just under 200 pounds. That's a whole person bigger. And when Haywood gets contact, he kicks him out, and there's a huge hole for Roberts.
2nd and 7 for the Roughriders, just short of their 35-yard line, and pressure on Joseph, scrambling, throwing, and the ball incomplete for Mike Washington as Kerry Joseph was under duress.
Goes down from behind, and when he went down, that ball dove with it. The timing on the hit from behind was perfect, and when Kerry Joseph tried to deliver that ball, the hit brought the football and the angle of it down. Looked like Doug Brown got to him and just tripped him up.
So that's the second 2 and out for the Roughriders here in the opening half.
Let him go, let him go!
Orem punts it away from his 36, Albert Johnson. And Johnson with a good return at 11 up to the 47.
The First Down Line, brought to you by Rona, the Canadian how-to people.
Well, there's the story of the game so far, isn't it?
Unbelievable. 18:07 to 6:44. The best way to beat a hot offense is to play a game of keep away, and Ken Austin's offense just cannot keep the ball right now. It's been all Kevin Glenn.
Start at their 46. Pressure. Glenn steps away, looks downfield, and the ball incomplete, intended for Armstrong, and James Johnson in good position defensively again.
He was underneath, and that ball just thrown too much on a line. Terrell Jareniak back in the lineup for this game this afternoon. Missed the first 9 due to injury, and he's been working out hard. Talked to Eddie Davis before the game about him. He said he is just chomping to get back in there. In this 9-game reserve list, it's been under scrutiny a little bit.
Well, big news in Winnipeg, Bolton and Charlton, but you consider Jareniak in and Davis coming back in 3 games, and their defense gets a huge boost too in Saskatchewan. O'Neal Wilson the look in, and a sidestep past Mo Lloyd, finished off again by Fred Perry, but that's his 4th catch. And Wilson's taken a couple of heavy licks from Fred Perry.
You know, but has just jumped right back up and not shown any fear or not shown that he's been hurt by any of the hits, because again he had a choice there to go to the outside and run towards the sideline, but went right back into traffic and meets Mr. Perry again.
16 yards. He matches his season high with his 4th catch. And now double tight ends. Gillespie on the right end. Charles Roberts cuts back, and Reggie Hunt finishes him off.
You mentioned earlier Fred Perry, a couple hits on receivers. We've seen him drop into pass coverage. That last tackle on O'Neal Wilson, he rushed the passer and then reacted. I don't think there's a defensive lineman in the game right now that is better at pursuing the football than Fred Perry. He is full speed from the moment that ball is snapped to the players on the ground, and he often wins the races between him and defensive backs to get to the tackle.
His position is well named, the quick end. 2nd and 8. Kevin Glenn's intercepted. Chapman, Jermaine Chapman takes it away, And the Roughriders get a big turnover. That's the first interception tossed by Kevin Glenn in 7 games.
You know, I was going to mention the last couple of throws from Kevin Glenn. He's had receivers that had he put more of a rainbow on the pass, he might have had a chance, and he's throwing it more on a line. The last one to Derek Armstrong was very similar, that was knocked down. This time Chapman, who moves into the halfback spot for this game, he just cuts underneath that throw. Had there been more air under it and Stiegel the ability to go and run under it, he might have had a chance.
27th takeaway on the year for the Roughriders. Ranked second behind BC in that department. Let's see if Kerry Joseph can capitalize. Andy Van Toos, he's got it, and then dropped it, and they're ruling incomplete. He was behind Jerron Bolden, but doesn't survive contact.
You know, and I hate to say it because he's such a great talent and will be very good in the CFL for years, but he is still a little snake bit.
Well, a big play that just gets away from Andy Van Toos.
Closed captioning of the CFL on TSN is brought to you by PokerStars.net, the world's largest poker site.
Turns out to be a long, loud incompletion. 2nd and 10. Pressure on Joseph. And it opens up. He'll pull it down. Kerry Joseph trying to get to the first down stick. Cam Hall with a stick. And Joseph looks like he'll be a yard short. Take another look at the Andy Van Toos drop.
No challenge from Ken Austin here, and because I think Ken Austin probably felt that the way this has been called this season, that would have been one of those situations where Andy Van Toos, well, it looks like he caught the ball, did not hold it after contact from Jerron Bolden, and therefore he has to maintain possession through that contact right there as he's trying to bring it in. So I think probably Ken Austin thought that's the way they've called it all year. That's been consistent. That's why I won't challenge. But I would still argue that needs to be debated this offseason, because I would still like to see that ruled as a catch and possible fumble.
You're a little surprised at this. 3rd and 1. Borum is punting, looking for the corner, and instead it will bounce the other way into the end zone. A little surprised we wouldn't see a Rough Rider gamble on 3rd and a yard from the 46. Instead, it's a single point. So it's a 9-point Bomber lead as Borum doesn't get the corner.
That's not what Ken Austin wanted. You know, if you're going to decide not to gamble on 3rd and 1, it is absolutely crucial that your punter executes that kick and gets it out of bounds deep. Get your defense a quick 2 and out, and you get better field position when you get the punt back. But if you don't, and it goes in the end zone, it just ruins the strategy completely.
Kevin Glenn back to the air, downfield, and he's got Derek Armstrong.
There's where Kevin Glenn puts a little more air on the football. Rather than throwing it on a line like that, he throws it with a bit of a rainbow. And that rainbow throw allows Derek Armstrong to run underneath it. He doesn't have to throw it through the defender. A couple of mistakes on the last drive from Kevin Glenn where he was throwing it hard on a line. Look at how that'll drop up and over the shoulder of Armstrong. Keeps that left foot in bounds.
Armstrong with a 35-yard catch, over 300 yards in his last 2 starts coming into this game, and now Roberts off the left side, and he'll be dropped at the 35, but Armstrong put up the biggest game by a receiver in the CFL this year.
Did it in a lot of ways against the Saskatchewan Roughriders. Oftentimes it was number 19, James Johnson, victimized. A couple of mental mistakes, but he also won some jump balls in tight coverage. Caught some over the middle, cut some down the sideline. He was just Mr. Everything in a game. Again, even though it's hard to believe, the Bombers didn't win.
Hard for him to celebrate over 200 yards when it's a loss. Only Ben Cahoon with more catches so far on the season. Terrence Edwards with a catch in front of Rontarius Robinson on second down.
Well, just think of the weapons that Kevin Glenn has at his disposal. And if you're a defense, where do you go? I mean, if Derek Armstrong starts to get hot like he did on Sunday, do you go and you double Derek, then you leave Terrence Edwards open. And you leave him on a one-on-one who's having a breakout year. If you want to double him and maybe you can double two, then what do you do if you got Milt Stegall one-on-one? And Kevin Glenn can just drop it off, and R.J. Franklin's starting to emerge as well. So you add in a Charles Roberts. Look at those 4 receivers, and include Roberts as a running back, all over 30 catches. That's what Kevin Glenn has to look at, and as a defense, boy, it is tough to defend that.
So Edwards comes up a yard short, and this time it's the Bombers that opt not to gamble. Instead, Troy Westwood eyes a 38-yard field goal attempt. No, it's a fake, and Jamie Stoddard straight ahead for a first down.
Not good for Winnipeg. That's a gutsy call and a good one.
Jamie Stoddard, one of 4 holders deployed this year by Doug Barry, and a gutsy, effective third down gamble.
Clearly something that Corey McDermott, Doug Barry saw in the game film. They knew Saskatchewan would look at the roster and say, okay, Jamie Stoddard back for his first game. He goes back to holder. Likely won't try anything fancy there, and a nice open hole to the right side of the formation.
Fresh set of downs. They have 95 yards running in the game, and a pass to Edwards brought down by Chapman at the 20. Short gain.
Rob Pakula for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers has not punted the ball. That's how efficient Kevin Glenn has been.
Looks like Pakula may get the entire first half off.
He's going to take his jersey off at the end of this game and just walk home. He can bypass the shower.
2nd and 8. Glenn over the middle, and another completion to R.J. Franklin. And he has 4 catches, 9 in his last 6 quarters. And a reminder that at halftime, the Wendy CFL on TSN panel will analyze and really look in depth at the first half of action.
I know those guys, you know, Matt Dunnigan, the receiver over there, Jock Climby, and an offensive lineman. These guys love to see great offensive football, and, you know, this Kevin Glenn offense has been pretty darn good in this first half.
Matt talked about the big plays by Saskatchewan last week. There'll be some big plays to talk about by Winnipeg. Like that, Milt Stegall.
And how about the rainbow throw? Kevin Glenn has made the adjustment.
Jamie Stoddard extended the drive on the fake field goal, and Milt caps it with his 5th of the year.
There's your safety, Tristan Clovis, up on the line of scrimmage, not back in the deep middle. Kevin Glenn's got a one-on-one. He goes to Milt Stegall, and he puts a little air under it. Deep end zones allows a receiver to run under a play like that, even if you're down by the goal line, and Stegall is a master at it.
First touchdown in 4 for the touchdown king. Westwood adds the extra point, and it's a 16-point Winnipeg lead. The CFL touchdown record is now 141. And Milt Stegall has added to the Bomber lead.
Well, Jermaine Chapman has an interception, but he gets beat on this one, and the reason being, look where he's looking. He's looking at Kevin Glenn. He's got no help in the middle of the field from the safety who's up in the line of scrimmage. He's got to deny the inside. That's the easy throw, and he gets caught taking a look at Kevin Glenn, and he watches Glenn drop it right over the shoulder of Milt Stegall. We've seen that a few times before. Well, 141 times to be exact.
24th in his career against the Saskatchewan Roughriders. Corey Holmes spins off first contact, breaks another, and Holmes with a terrific return up to the 37-yard line before he's brought down by Jason Nugent.
You know, Corey Holmes got off to a pretty good start in his first game as a Rider. weekend. He came in his first game. He averaged 15.4 on punt returns, over 22 yards on the kickoff returns, and felt comfortable. I talked to him before the game. He said, I felt like I was back home. And when you consider that Jason Armstead's punt return average was
Winnipeg number 42. Penalty is declined. First down.
Was under 10 yards, was 8.6 as a rider. They're happy to have Holmes back as a special teams guy.
15 seconds remaining in the opening half. Bombers were offside on the kickoff, but the Roughriders want the football right now. Let's see what Gary Joseph can do with the remaining seconds of this first half. Pressure. Haywood's got him down. His second sack of the opening half.
You know, he's had a good half of football, and it's not a Friday night, but he would be a front runner for Gladiator if it was, because not only is Jerome Haywood playing well defensively, as he makes a nice stunt to come outside and around Doug Brown and get there before Joseph can throw that backside throw. But remember, he made the block. Like you mentioned, he's having himself a game.
You like to see a guy who's accountable, he said after last week. I didn't play well. He certainly has in the first half, as the Roughriders kill the clock, and they'll regroup in the room, trailing 24-8 after the half in the Banjo Bowl.
Live at the half, brought to you by Wendy's new Baconator, the official hamburger of the CFL. Wendy's, that's right.
Here's the Boston Pizza poll question we asked you prior to kickoff. Who would you rather have at quarterback right now? They're both great choices. Kevin Glenn, Kerry Joseph, you logged on, and, you know, there are a lot.
He doesn't get respect, eh?
Rider Nation, they love this poll.
That's because of his legs, because he can run.
And again, it's not a bad call. But it's the Winnipeg Blue Bombers and Kevin Glenn after a dominant first half, up 24-8. Hello, Dave, Chris, Matt, and Jock. 24-8 is the score here in the rematch, the Banjo Bowl. Winnipeg started this game like a house on fire, going from 0 to 60 in a hurry after that heartbreaking loss last Sunday in Regina. They're throwing the ball well, running the ball well. You forget how big Jerron Bolden is, by the way.
I haven't forgotten, because I used to play against that guy. And
he made a play.
He dominated. He didn't decline.
I got to admit.
What else do you think?
Yeah.
What else do you think, John?
Yeah, well, I was saying, but thinking that it's going to be very hard for Saskatchewan to win this football game now, precisely because of what Winnipeg did at the end by the fake. I'm surprised more teams don't do this. We actually saw the Lions try a fake punt today on 3rd and 13. That's a little tougher than doing it on 3rd and 1, 3rd and 2, like this situation. But why not do this more often? I mean, it's pretty simple here. There's nothing complicated about what they're going to do. They're going to take these two guys and just seal here. They're going to take these two, seal here. You're going to see that Westwood go this way, which will draw the linebacker out of the middle, and then Stoddard's just going to be right up the chute. This is a very simple play to execute, and they do it to perfection. You only need a couple yards. Even if someone misses a block, you're likely to get the first down. I'm continually surprised why we don't see it more often. As a player, you'll love it when you got a coach who will call those kind of plays.
That's right. It gives the whole team a spark. You know, we've all, Schultz, Jocko, I know we've both been on the side of getting it handed to you in a half of football like that, much like Saskatchewan Roughriders, but you still got to go out there and make things happen. It's exactly what Fred Perry does. And you know what? This can be good for the football team. Here he drops back in the coverage, which they've done a lot with him over the last several weeks, and he says hello to O'Neal Wilson. Watching my pursuit here. Chases Charles Roberts. He comes back, prohibits a touchdown run. Here, he rushes upfield, redirects. Again, it's going to be O'Neal Wilson on the receiving end of an earhole shot from Fred Perry's relentless pursuit. You got to go out there and continue to be a professional, earn your money. It's exactly what Fred Perry's doing. Hopefully, he can spark the rest of his football team and starts to make some plays in the second half and maybe get this team back in it.
Well, that's a great group of individual plays from Fred Perry, but for the defense of these Winnipeg Blue Bombers, they have had only 2 negative plays, and I've kind of picked them out because they're the only obvious ones where they've made a mistake. First of all, watch Wes Cates here on Gavin Walls. That's a fantastic move in space to have a positive run, getting Saskatchewan setting up the very next play to Matt Dominguez, which led to the first touchdown. Here, Kerry Joseph to Matt Dominguez. There's Jerron Bolden. He makes him miss, takes the football down into scoring position, but that has been it for the Saskatchewan Roughriders. Those 2 plays are their only positive plays. right now, the whole game revolves around Kevin Glenn. I have never seen him play better as a quarterback.
Oh, well, that's saying something because you've said that, week after week. He just continues to elevate, doesn't he?
Better and better and better.
And I think the coaching staff deserves a lot of credit for that, too, because they've got him very comfortable knowing where the ball is supposed to go every play.
Saskatchewan beat Winnipeg 31-26 in the Labor Day Classic in Regina last Sunday. It was a magical day for the Riders and their fans, especially one fan that we'd like to tell you the story of. He's a 24-year-old Chris Knox, lives in Regina. Chris is really in a battle right now. He's got a brain tumor, battling cancer. That's linebacker Mike McCullough, who after the game went into the stands. It was a wild scene. He goes into the stands, gets Chris, says, "You're coming with me, big boy." They walk down the sideline, straight into the Riders' locker room. Kent Austin gathered all the players around him and said, before anything else, he said, "Boys, this guy's got a brain tumor. He's battling for his life. Let's all say a prayer," which they did. They gave him and his dad the game ball. It's a day that Chris Knox and his father Ron will never forget, and our thoughts and hopes are with you, Chris, as well as you battle it out and continue to watch your Riders. They're down right now 24-8. We got plenty more to come. You're watching the CFL on TSN.
CFL Wired is brought to you by Switch's new album, Lay Down the Law, in stores soon.
Welcome back. Here are the halftime numbers brought to you by Coors Light. Who wants a cold one?
Silly question, Dave. The number one number I'm impressed with is this right here. 22 first downs. Usually that's what a team generates in an entire game.
Schultz, I'm thinking Doug Barry is going to be fairly pleased. Let's see what he had to say to our Sean Churchill.
Doug, your offense is clicking on all facets of the game. Is there anything that you want to change for the final 30?
Well, not from the offense. Defense is playing the way we want to see them play this week, and the special teams have stepped it up significantly also.
Kevin's confidence just keeps elevating with every play, doesn't it?
Well, it's too bad on the interception, but we really, he's pinpoint accurate in a lot of things we're doing. His reads are right on, and it's evident as to how many points we've been able to put up on the board.
Thank you very much. Good luck in the second half.
Okay.
Montreal won in game one of our doubleheader, and the Winnipeg Blue Bombers trying to stay ahead of them in the East Division standings with a win here. They're off to a great start. Hey, there's Dan O'Toole. Hi, Dan.
Hi, Dave.
You got anything for us, or are you just sitting there?
Yeah. How about some NFL highlights, as it's the first Sunday in the season, so that means plenty of games and actually some big matchups as well as we start in San Diego. Chargers and Bears, the defensive struggle thus far. Mike Brown picking off Phillip Rivers. It led to a field goal. Bears leading late second quarter 3-0. Randy Moss, how about his debut for the Patriots? 9 receptions, 183 yards. And this 51-yard touchdown as the Pats rolled the Jets 38-14. And the Green Bay Packers capitalized on a pair of muffed punts to score 10 points, including a game-winning Mason Crosby field goal. Pack beat the Eagles 16-13. We will recap everything for you in the first Sunday of the NFL season, plus the Jays in action. Next edition of SportsCenter, 11:30 Eastern.
The First Down Line, brought to you by the all-new 2007 GMC Sierra. GMC, professional grade.
Load up the drugs, we'll let the demons come in. Bring all the kids, they won't know where to begin. Sit in the line, I'll lock you up in the pen. If you're rating my life, give it 10. But it remains to be seen if you've got what it takes to be queen. Just get your ass to my door and don't watch for the change from between.
Just a reminder, today's game is available on TSN HD and in 5.1 Dolby Digital Surround Sound. TSN is Canada's sports leader in high definition. We're headed to the third quarter, but first, Sean Churchill with Roughrider head coach Kent Austin.
Kent, after a tough first half, what do you say to a team, or what changes do you make for the final 30 minutes?
Well, I mean, we got to do the fundamental things. We got to be assignment sound. I mean, we're not tackling well up defensively. We're not winning 1st and 10. We're letting them convert way too many times in second and long. We made one play defensively in the first half. Offensively, we had too many 2-and-outs. We had a chance to make a play to get Carlos back in the ball game, and we didn't do it. You know, we're just not playing very well right now. Give a lot of credit to them. They're playing outstanding football. But we got to win this half.
Thank you very much. Good luck.
So a 16-point deficit the Roughriders face, and Winnipeg will get their hands on the ball first in the third quarter.
And when they've had their hands on the ball, they haven't let it go, because they had plays or drives in that first half. The Bombers did of 9 plays twice, 14 plays in a 7-play drive.
Here's Fred Reed on the return. High stepping over the 40. Fred Reed, 1 man left. And finally, Mike McCullough comes back. And Reed is dropped out at the 35 of Saskatchewan.
Boy, he was high stepping coming around that corner. That's what confidence brings. It brings it right to the teams, and that's where you know which team, generally speaking, has more intensity is when you watch the teams. The Riders got all bunched up in the middle, left their lanes. You heard Ken Austin say at halftime, they are not being assignment sound. That's what he's talking about. There's lanes for the kickoff cover team, and if you get out of them, you leave open ones for returners. Reed took advantage of the Riders' bunch.
63 yards on that run by Fred Reed. And Winnipeg in business at the Roughrider 35-yard line. Charles Roberts. And Roberts has a couple off the right side. Marcus Adams on the tackle.
Possibly watching 2 quarterbacks that are in the running for the Outstanding Player of the Year award, and right now Kevin Glenn has just been a machine offensively. He had the one mistake where he threw it a little tight and was intercepted by Jermaine Chapman, but beyond that, I mentioned the 4 big drives, 68, 66, 77, 75 yards, resulting in 3 TDs and a field goal in the first half.
At 77.2% in the opening half. And over the middle, wide open. Derek Armstrong with the catch.
Yeah, and let's not forget, you have to have time to throw the football. And in order to get it into your receivers, who in this case was wide open to Derek Armstrong over the middle. There's the jam. It's a zone defense, and the linebacker played man underneath and did not drop to his zone. But this is that you need time to throw the football. See Goodspeed. Look at the nice pocket created around Kevin Glenn. Dan Goodspeed's been playing very well.
Double tight ends for Winnipeg, and Leslie, the fullback. Second man through is Roberts, and a flag is thrown as Scott Schultz was in on the tackle.
Offensive line that has given up the fewest sacks in the CFL this year, just 12. Dominic Picard back in the game at center. We knew that Abi Khan was in the game earlier, but we knew that he had to work on his wind. He is now going to take a break. But this offensive line has really been a story.
Holding. Winnipeg number 64. 10-yard penalty. Repeat first down.
Well, I jinxed him when I talked about him and spoke highly of him. That's usually what happens. They get a penalty. But only the 4th penalty in this football game.
Holding against Goodspeed. They'll push it back 10. Make it 1st and 20. There's Kevin Glenn looking for Edwards in the end zone, and Edwards looked for a flag, and they did call it. Rontarius Robinson held him up, and the flag was tossed in the end zone for pass interference.
Yeah, you know, usually you can't sell an official, and I think Terrence Edwards sold the official here. There was a little bit of a grab right there. I don't think that's pass interference. You know, that's allowed. A little push, a little grab. Receivers will do it too. Receivers will push off slightly, and to me, Rontarius Robinson, okay, he did have his hands on the inside there. I don't think that's pass interference, so I think you let him play in that case. A little grab there. And was that ball catchable anyway? I don't know. That was outside shoulder, but Terrence Edwards turned to the official and sold him on it.
On a 1st and 20, and now it's 1st and goal at the 1. Fake to Roberts into the end zone. Stiegel can't bring it in.
On 1st and goal, Bill Stiegel.
All
everyone in the park thinks that it's going to be Charles Roberts with the football. They've been loading up the fullback and they've been running here, but what Glenn will do is fake it there and get outside. And he tries to go up over the top. Again, James Johnson has really played a better game here this afternoon than last week. Perfect position.
So it's 2nd and goal from the 1, and now Haywood sets up to the fullback spot to lead Roberts, who was grabbed at the goal line and driven back. Fired up Roughriders say they come up with the football, but the whistle had gone, and it will be 3rd and goal from the 1.
It's Sean Lucas again that Haywood is going to slide over and try and block. He does a better job this way of turning the play inside. Lucas is going to come outside here, and Haywood, number 99, is going to slide over, put the hit on him again, and it forces Roberts this time to go hard inside.
Big play by Anton McKenzie to fill that gap and make sure Roberts didn't get in. So it's 3rd and goal from the 1. And behind Haywood again, Charles Roberts, touchdown. Game, his 12th of the season, and the Bombers now have 100 yards rushing on the day.
First team in the Canadian Football League to be able to do it against the Saskatchewan Roughrider defense. That's to put up 100 yards rushing, and we've still got a lot of football to be played. Maurice Lloyd steps into the block and cannot fill the hole in time.
Westwood the extra point. 31-8. Bombers with the lead.
The CFL on TSN is brought to you by PokerStars.net, the world's largest poker site.
Charles Roberts opened the season with a 4-touchdown game against Edmonton. He has 3 here in the Banjo Bowl.
A drive that was aided by a questionable pass interference call, but Charles Roberts goes off the block of Dan Sheraton. Or excuse me, Matt Sheridan, and into the end zone. Dan Goodspeed was on that side. I get it right.
Here's Corey Holmes. Upended at the 35. Jamie Stoddard with the special teams tackle.
Let me show you big Matt Sheridan right here. And what he's going to do is pull outside and then come in and lead block on Maurice Lloyd, the middle linebacker. He steps right in that hole perfectly. Big 54 slides around. He plugs the hole, and he's the guy who pushes Maurice Lloyd back out of there and allows Charles Roberts to come right underneath. There's the middle linebacker. There's Sheridan. And Roberts underneath the tackle.
Roughriders go to work on offense for the first time in the second half. Pressure from Joseph, and once again, he has been dropped. Gavin Walls has a sack. 3rd sack of the game for the Bombers, and for Walls, number 6 on the season.
How many times have you heard games are won and lost in the trenches? And right now, the Bombers, from the start of this game until this point so far, look at that spin move. Gavin Walls fights his way to the quarterback, have won the war in the trenches.
One team's just brought a whole lot more intensity than the other.
Without question. Without question.
2nd down. Joseph dumps it off. Here's Cates looking for a block and forced out at the 31 by Cam Hall, who moved across from the Sam linebacker spot to play the weak side linebacker position, and Corey Jenkins out of the lineup today.
Yeah, I agree with you on that intensity level. You know, it's hard to get on the road, and you know the back-to-backs are always difficult, but those aren't excuses either. And Doug Barry's team, after losing on Sunday, have come back to make a statement. And Ken Austin's team just did not come out of the tunnel with the same level of intensity. They haven't matched the home teams yet, and that's why this game is starting to slip out of hand.
6 possessions for Saskatchewan, 4 2-and-outs. And Jamie Borum gets set to kick it away again.
Let him go, let him go, let him go.
Now Albert Johnson at his 39. And he'll take it wide. Got a block from Franklin. And now a flag as Hughes brings down the punt returner, Albert Johnson. For every sack in today's game, Purolator donates the quarterback's weight in food to a local food bank. Purolator, the official courier of the CFL, tackling hunger across Canada. A pair for Jerome Haywood, and Gavin Walls makes it 3 Bomber sacks so far today.
Gavin Walls missed week 4 versus Montreal, and it's taken a little bit of time to get back going. Even though he's played since then, he hasn't really got going again, and he is now. He's right in behind Jerome Bolden, who went over and said, hey, I'm just joining this team, but you're pretty good.
Roberts nailed by Maurice Lloyd behind the line of scrimmage. And the Roughriders need a stop here, and really haven't had one in the game.
And Charles Roberts has just taken himself right to the top of the list for the touchdown lead in the CFL so far this year.
And that's 12 on the ground. The CFL record 19 by Mike Pringle. So there's a lot of time for Charles Roberts to take a look at that one. And the single season touchdown record held by a guy named Stiegel at 23. So
lots of time.
There's a screen to Roberts. Reggie Hunt is there, and he got some help as they rally to the football quickly. And Kitwana Jones gets the tackle and forces a 2-and-out, and that's what Saskatchewan needed desperately.
They needed a big play from a veteran. They get it from Reggie Hunt, who lines up on the opposite side of the formation. He's going to drop into coverage to the right. Now he's got to try and take on that offensive line that's coming after him. Abi Khan, the leader, he cuts underneath that block and makes a play on Charles Roberts.
First time they forced the Bombers 2-and-out on the day. And Rob Pakula has to go to work. First punt for Pakula. Corey Holmes has it at his 35. Good return over midfield. So Holmes with 21 on the return of a 41-yard punt.
The First Down Line, brought to you by the all-new 2007 GMC Sierra. GMC, professional grade.
We're midway in the third quarter. 31-8 the score. And the Roughriders got a defensive stop. Now they've got to kickstart their offense.
Well, and they have the talent to do it. Think back to last week. But they need it now.
Joseph under pressure again. That's been a story here. Got it away. And the pass incomplete. Wes Cates isolated on the new Will linebacker, Cam Hall.
Yeah, and those are the plays they were making on Sunday that they're not making here this afternoon, because I'm not sure how Kerry Joseph even gets that out of there. Again, big pressure from the front four from the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. Pressure coming off the edge, and Joseph is in big trouble, but he gives his receiver, Wes Cates, a chance. He's got to make that play. Make the big plays in the open field. Remember, Andy Fantus's drop. Those are the ones they're missing right now.
A 2nd and 10 from the Bomber 54. This time better protection, Cates, but look at Barron Simpson. The middle linebacker, the number 2 tackler in the CFL there to make sure Cates isn't going anywhere.
Starts up in the line of scrimmage right here, Barron Simpson, and it looks to me like his responsibility in the defense is Wes Cates. He steps up into the line to take up a block and then reads it quickly, and he goes over and then gets his man in the defense, which happens to be the guy with the ball.
So once again, Saskatchewan has to kick it away, and Albert Johnson gets set. That is 21. And Johnson finds a little hole up to the 33-yard line. 36-yard form punt. Bombers back to work on offense. There's the hitch to Edwards, and he's brought down by Maurice Lloyd, the middle linebacker. It's a big football Sunday, and it continues next with NFL action As the New York Giants take on the Dallas Cowboys, live coverage beginning immediately following this game. It's available on TSN HD and tsn.ca.
Eli Manning and Tony Romo.
First Sunday of the new NFL season.
I like what John Madden said about Eli Manning. He said, you know, he's not Peyton. He never will be Peyton. In fact, he's not close to Peyton, but he can win. You can win with Eli.
2nd and 5. Kevin Glenn, and that ball in and out of the hands of R.J. Franklin. So, for the second consecutive time, the Bombers forced 2 and out.
Pretty good adjustments, and it looks like the Saskatchewan defense is now starting to play with a little more jump in their step, because I think that Saskatchewan team was very flat out of the gate in the first half. Winnipeg took advantage of it. Now they're starting to respond, but they have to try and get some points in a hurry, or else comeback bid becomes tougher.
Rob Pakula once again.
And go.
Better kick. Driving Holmes back inside his 20. And Holmes to the 30-yard line. Well, Kerry Joseph hasn't had as much success today, but a big first half of the season under the tutelage of Kent Austin.
The number one thing a quarterback has to have is the ability to make good decisions. Matter of fact, his ability to make great decisions. Physically, Kerry has the tools, but there are a lot of quarterbacks that have the tools. What separates really good quarterbacks from average quarterbacks is the decision making. And Kerry, we've had to improve that with him. And he's been a real pro in spending the time learning things differently and learning how to approach the game differently. And I think that he's been able to transfer that onto the field, which has resulted in his success.
Well, Joseph hooking up with a favorite target this year, DJ Flick, who has his first catch of the game.
That's what I've noticed about Kerry Joseph's play under Ken Austin. And remember, they have familiarity from back in the Ottawa days when Ken Austin was the quarterback coach there, helping Kerry Joseph as a brand new quarterback in the CFL. So familiar with each other, but he's made good decisions this afternoon too. He's just got a lot of pressure in his face right now from that front four.
Not a lot of time to make those decisions.
That's right.
First down. Joseph wide open as Fantus, close to another first down. David Bush and Kelly Malvo rally to the football. And it should be close to a first down at the 51. Ken Austin was saying that this is as fiery a competitor as he's seen.
There's Fantus, who's going to open up here on that little out route and make a nice catch. As he breaks out on Kelly Malvo, who had opened his hips thinking he was going deep.
It is back-to-back first downs for the Roughriders. Their own 51, and now Joseph backside he goes. Corey Grant the catch, and he's taken down Cam Hall, who was under some fire here as the strong side linebacker making an impact on the other side, and Kerry Joseph hobbled.
Yeah, Jerome Haywood again was in the backfield, and Haywood was very close to getting below the knee level. If he gets below the knee, that's a roughing the passer call. Tough throw to make for Joseph across his body with Haywood wrapped around his waist.
2nd and 4. And Joseph looking downfield for Flick. He's got it. DJ Flick. The flag flies. He was in a real battle with David Bush, the former Rough Rider, and came down with the football.
Well, David Bush is saying he pushed off, but again, that's the hand fighting I talked about. And in that early one, I didn't think that there was pass interference early on, and it looks like this may be coming back. I mean, you're allowed to hand fight
pass
back and
interference.
forth.
Saskatchewan number 3. 10-yard penalty. Repeat 2nd down.
Ken Austin didn't like the last interference call on his defensive back. Now let's see. I know he's not going to like this one. He's right here in the middle, and he's going to get one-on-one with David Bush. Now, little push there. You can see a push and a grab by David Bush. That's okay. A little push to the turn to get back to the football. I don't see interference on that play either.
thought when the flag was thrown that might have been against the Winnipeg defender, but not the case. And it wipes out a huge 42-yard play. Instead, 2nd and 13. Ball is caught by Dominguez, and there's Hall again with support. And at midfield, they'll be short. So a costly penalty against DJ Flick.
I think players will tell you that you know, they would rather you let them play, you know, and I think DJ Flick and David Bush were both pushing a little bit. Bush grabbed his shirt a little bit off the line, but I know DJ Flick would say no problem, because when the ball's in the air, I'm going to try and give him a little shove anyway, and let's let that go.
What the guys on the Bomber bench are saying is what goes around comes around. What about Matt Dominguez last week? One that wasn't called that they're still hot about.
Let him go, let him go.
A little push in the back there, yeah.
Albert Johnson makes the first man miss. And he's out across the 30-yard line. Just over 2 minutes left in the third quarter. Kevin Glenn and the Winnipeg offense back on the field, and Charles Roberts straight ahead.
Yeah, and you know, I don't want to take anything away from this Bomber effort either, because you know, there's been a couple of questionable calls, but that doesn't take away the fact that Kevin Glenn and this offense has really controlled the football game. They've played with more intensity. That first interference call on Montarius Robinson, probably not. I didn't like it, but don't take anything away from the Bomber effort, because they have been ahead in this game in a lot of different areas.
Enjoying a 23-point advantage. As Kevin Glenn surveys 2nd and 6. 6 receivers out. And Armstrong a catch, dropped at the 40. And he'll be a yard or so short of a first down. And Doug Barry wants to get a good look at this before deciding what his course of action is on third down. But a good mark, which is going to, I think, entice him to make a third down gamble here.
A somber bench right now. Saskatchewan sideline. Try and figure out what to do to get things going, and it starts up front.
Well, the defense has forced
a couple of 2-and-outs in a row.
A couple of 2-and-outs, and now can they force a turnover on downs, as it is 3rd and less than a yard.
In situations like this, you often think that sometimes the defense has to do more than just get a 2-and-out, that it may be a defensive or special teams play that has to spark a team when they're down like this in a turnover, you know, maybe score on defense. Which is saying a lot against Kevin Glenn.
Big boys hunkered down. Kevin Glenn straight ahead and should have it.
Yeah, I don't think they'll measure that. You know, I think one of the adjustments that Kevin Glenn made, when he did have a couple of problems, he threw an interception. He was starting to throw the ball on a short trajectory. He was throwing it hard and in there, and he made a quick adjustment. Watch, he would throw that real short like that, right at the point of attack. This one was intercepted, and he went back after this throw and thought about it, because the next throw that he makes is the right way to throw when you get an open receiver deep with that little bit of a loop like that, to allow your receiver a little bit of air time so he can drop under it. When he made that adjustment, it was really...
Charles Roberts into the secondary and dropped at the 50-yard line, as Roberts adds to his outstanding day with an 18-yard romp.
Just hit that one on the fly. I mean, that hole opens up. On that left side of the formation, as Charles Roberts, this is just a quick hitter. Again, I think it's another big block there by Dan Goodspeed. Dan Goodspeed was almost in NASCAR in the pit crews. You read about that one, right? And he might have to change Charles Roberts' tires before it's over.
Kevin Glenn looking downfield. He's got Milt Stegall. And all the weapons on display in the Bombers' arsenal through 3 quarters in Winnipeg. Third quarter stats are brought to you by Rona, the Canadian how-to people.
Sometimes you just face a team that's in a groove, and the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, even though they lost last week, were in that groove offensively, and Kevin Glenn has really put up some big numbers again. 385 after 3 quarters. And right now, I'll just say it, the front runner at the midway point for the outstanding player in the Canadian Football League is doing it again, and it's Kevin Glenn.
And he is just using all the weapons. We've seen Roberts effective on the ground. All the receivers feel like they're having good games, from R.J. Franklin and O'Neal Wilson to the old reliable Milt Stegall.
You know, he's got such command of this offensive system in his second year under Doug Barry that quick release, he's just using all of his weapons, as you mentioned, and he gets rid of the football in a hurry. I just think he has just got this offense mastered right now.
37 to Stegall. And the ball down to the Saskatchewan 13-yard line. And here's Charles Roberts with a cutback, and Terrell Jeriniak would have none of it.
You know, it's funny, then remember last week on Sunday, we had Danny McManus down on the sideline with us, and he went over to Kevin Glenn about 3 quarters into that game and said to Glenn, he said, you know, you're just hitting guys everywhere. And Glenn looked at him with a big smile and just said, you know, I just can't miss. You know, sometimes you feel that you're playing basketball and you can't miss a shot. You just get in that zone. Kevin Glenn has been in that zone for most of this season.
Second down. Kevin Glenn again. Roberts out of the backfield. And he'll be run out at the 5-yard line by the middle linebacker, Maurice Lloyd.
No, he locked in there. He had a wide open Derek Armstrong that walks into the end zone on the other part of that crossing route. He run that pretty effectively. The only way to defend that really is to jam the 2 receivers together and hope that they collide. You really have to step up and try and eliminate crossing routes defensively, and that's where the linebacking core will step up and try and do that, but they haven't been able to against the Bombers.
3rd and 1. Earlier in the game, Doug Barry had a play on, and Jamie Stoddard, the holder, ran for a first down. This time they'll set it up from the 12. Stoddard holding. Westwood puts it through to add to the lead here early in the 4th quarter.
The CFL on TSN is brought to you in part by Future Shop. Get 360 degrees of expertise on everything HD. And by Castrol. It's more than just oil, it's liquid engineering.
Troy Westwood has it on the tee. And Corey Holmes is back for the Roughriders. Across the 30-yard line, tripped up as he hurdled to the 35. Gary Joseph trying to get this offense going, held to 83 yards passing after that huge game last week.
Well, Jerron Bolden is an addition, and he's had a good game because we haven't said much about him, which means as a defensive back, you're playing pretty well, because coming in, this defense was struggling a little bit against the pass. Only 3 interceptions. They were giving up lots of yards and had some injury situation and problems in the secondary, and Bolden sure can help in that respect.
Flag down. Joseph under pressure, and the ball falls incomplete. Intended for Wes Cates. Greg Marshall, his theme this week, eliminate the big plays. As Saskatchewan, a big play offense. Last week, 10 plays resulted in 320 yards, and so far they've really done that. One 32-yarder to Cates.
Offside, Winnipeg number 44, 5-yard penalty, repeat first down.
Tom Canada offside, so.
Yeah, coordinators love to eliminate the big play. They want offenses to work for everything that they get, and Saskatchewan has made those big plays the past few games, but not so much this afternoon.
1st and 5, DJ Flick, a catch, a nice move on Bolden, and Flick Up across midfield.
Here's what you're talking about here, Chris, is the big plays from last week that the Saskatchewan Roughriders executed. Washington had a 51-yarder. Fantus, he had a 40-yarder that he dropped here this afternoon. Dominguez, and of course, Joseph on the TD run to put the Riders ahead for good.
First down. And a pass for Dominguez, and there's Bolden closing quickly on him. Greg Marshall was laughing, though, because he was reading the quotes from his counterpart, Richie Hall in Saskatchewan, who was saying the exact same thing.
Yeah.
Because Winnipeg had a lot of big plays last week against the Rough Rider defense, and they've continued to make them today, while Marshall's defense has turned it up.
Yeah, you just, as a coordinator, you hate the big plays. You know that they're going to make some.
Wes Cates on second down, and he is going to be stopped at the line of scrimmage and driven back. Baron Simpson there, and the folks starting to put their rain gear on here as we have a bit of a cloud burst over Canada Stadium.
Maybe 3 down time for Ken Austin. There was no gain there. I mean, the defense again played way better up front. I mean, this has been the biggest improvement for the Bombers from a week ago, is the play of their defensive line. Well, Ken Austin is going to put the punt team on. It's still 12 minutes left in the fourth quarter.
Well, we were told, no, Borum's coming off, and they're going to change their mind on 3rd and 3. We were told that they worked on a lot of trick plays prior to the Labor Day Classic. And, well, in this situation, you got to go for it one way or another, don't you?
I like this decision better. Yeah.
I thought maybe they had something on with Borum and the punt team, but
well, if you're going to go, then you might as well put your offense on.
Put your best guys in. Here we go, 3rd down, and they've got to get to the 45. The trouble with the shotgun snap. Downfield for Flick. Does he have it? David Bush says no, but they're marking it as a catch. And the Bombers defense wants a challenge.
Well, they're looking at it closely. It was almost a deliberate throw behind from Kerry Joseph. It was pretty good coverage on DJ Flick down the field. He did have problems with this snap, had to take his eyes off the receiver.
And the challenge flag has come out. And the 26-yard completion to Flick in question.
Rule to catch.
And the official right there. This
will be the best angle you get. Oh, I don't know.
Winnipeg has challenged the ruling of completed pass. We will review it.
Jake Ireland to go under the hood.
That reverse angle might be one that takes the play away. We'll see what happens here, but...
And again, it's 3rd down, so...
It's Bomber ball if they do, yeah. But, the first 2 looks, it was going to be tough to overturn the call, but does that ball hit the turf in between his hands? And therefore meaning that DJ Flick did not survive the contact with the ground. It's like it kind of came into his chest, hits the ground, and then he rolls on top of it. I think they may overturn this. Now, I've been wrong before. But look at the ball right now. I mean, that ball right there looks to me not in his possession and on the ground. So.
Jake going in for a closer look. And again, if the completion is overturned on the video challenge, it will be Winnipeg ball.
Saskatchewan has had a few chances for big plays. Fantus over a 40-yarder. He dropped one. DJ Flick down the sideline. He got called on offensive pass interference on one that was very questionable. But, other than a few plays, this team right now, and I know Rider fans are wondering about a couple close penalty calls and a couple of big plays that could have been. This team's being outplayed right now by the Bombers, and those 1 or 2 plays I don't think would have made the difference.
Now, there was a different level of intensity from the outset in this game. And let's see if Jake Ireland is going to allow the catch to stand.
The ball came in contact with the playing surface prior to possession. We have an incomplete pass. It will become 3rd down and 3 at the Winnipeg 48-yard line.
Well, it's a couple of plays or rulings DJ Flick doesn't agree with. And it's Winnipeg ball. A turnover on downs.
Correction. It is Winnipeg's ball. 1st down at the 48-yard line.
As the 26-yard apparent DJ Flick catch is overturned.
The 1st down line brought to you by the all-new 2007 GMC Sierra. GMC, professional grade.
Been a long day for Kent Austin, whose team's 5-game win streak in serious jeopardy here as we approach the 4-minute mark of the 4th quarter. Turnover on downs gives Winnipeg the football at their own 48. And here's Charles Roberts. Dropped by Marcus Adams as we join Sean Churchill.
Thank you very much, Chris. For the 5th straight time, the Winnipeg Blue Bombers has sold out Canada Inns Stadium. That's a first for the franchise. The Bombers hit the road for 2 games before coming back to take on the Hamilton Tiger Cats on September 29th. And with Casey Printers joining the Tabbies, he's a star attraction. They could make it 6 in a row. Guys?
Well, why not keep it rolling, Winnipeg? I mean, why not? This is great for the future of the franchise, too, to have that extra income for years to come to be able to get the players they need.
2nd down, Fred Perry. And they get to Kevin Glenn. The first pressure from Perry, but Reggie Hunt gets the sack, his 3rd of the year.
You know, and when you talk about those sellouts, I mean, they come into play. This is where the fans have to also realize that a team cannot just go out and sign Jerome Bolden or a guy like Ike Charlton without that money. And these sellouts this year are important, that you have cap space, but you also have the cash. You're not running the deficit to be able to go out and get the players you need. And this team is better with those 2 players in the lineup, and management was able to go and pay for those players because what the fans have done here in Winnipeg, it works together.
Started with the Milt Stegall touchdown watch, but it just kept gathering steam. And if this isn't the best story in the league that way, it's just a little west of here in Saskatchewan, where they just keep putting sellout after sellout. There's Corey Holmes up in it. We'll take a timeout.
Closed captioning of the CFL on TSN is brought to you by PokerStars.net, the world's largest poker site.
Kent Austin has made a quarterbacking change for the 4th time this year, an appearance by Marcus Crandall.
After the return, we had an unnecessary roughness. Saskatchewan number 82. That penalty was half the distance to the goal. 1st down.
Mike Washington called. And so Marcus Crandall at the controls. He has to start at his own 12-yard line. And Crandall with a completion, and Matt Dominguez gets away. And up close to the 40-yard line before Kairos Hebert knocks him out.
The Riders will keep playing hard. They get a chance to get Marcus Crandall some reps in there. Lots of times so that he could still work on his passing game and get open field. Jerome Bolden's had a little trouble with tackling, and that's justifiable. He come in having not played for quite a while. It takes a while to get that rust off.
27 for Dominguez. 6 receivers set. And a pass in the turf, incomplete, intended for Corey Grant.
Not a banner day for Kerry Joseph, although he made pretty good decisions. He was under siege. That defensive front 4 for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers did a real good job. There's Crandall's season numbers. And Kerry Joseph today, just 104 yards passing. But you can see the completion percentage isn't terrible. That's where the decisions come in.
Rough start against BC earlier this year. This is the 2nd time he's been lifted. And Crandall has Fantus near midfield. Andy Fantus with another Rough Rider first down at the Winnipeg 50-yard line.
He's in Winnipeg territory.
Still is 8 minutes left in the football game, and Andy Fantus working over the middle, and they can't get him the ball enough because he still has to work on fighting through his confidence issues because he's still dropping balls that he shouldn't and looks a little tentative in the one that he catches.
Crandall airs it out. He's got Washington wide open, and he can't bring it in. Well, a mix-up there, and Washington was left open. Crandall misfired.
Washington was, I think, surprised to be that wide open in behind the coverage. Kyrisse Bear, the safety, the only guy back. That's not his responsibility. It looked to me like Robert Bean jumped the short route and was way out of position. But Washington can't gather it up. That's 3 or 4 plays of over 40 yards that the Riders have missed in this game.
Washington made his CFL debut last week. 3 catches, 74 yards, and a touchdown. Also had a 51-yarder in that game. And he is the receiver here for a first down. There's Robert Bean.
I like what Crandall did here. Robert Bean made a mistake on the last play by being way too shallow. So what did he do on this play? He dropped back 15 or 20 yards deep. And Crandall just said, well, don't try and run by him. I'll just throw it in front of him this time to Washington on the outside.
Tough decision this week with Bolden. One of the starting corners had to sit out. It was Greg Moss, but Greg Marshall said it was a tough call. Bean got it because of a little more size. A pass for Corey Grant incomplete, but he said that decision on the corner is not written in stone, that it could very well be Greg Moss before this season's over.
Well, once he gets the rust off and gets really back into game shape, there won't be a decision on Jerome Bolden. If he is anywhere close to his old form, then he'll be on one side and then maybe Bean or Moss. But if Bolden gets back to where he's been, boy, he is a lockdown cover man. You won't get any better.
2nd and 10. Short drop, and that pass knocked down. Couple of knockdowns in the game for the Winnipeg front.
You know, Bolden has had some problems tackling today as he's trying to get the rust off, and no question that that's going to happen. But he has been doing what he does best, and that is to cover often the best receivers of the opposition. And there's that little strip that costs Andy Fantus a big play. So he's doing it in the coverage area, and the tackling will come.
3rd and 10. Crandall trying to keep this drive alive. Pressure. And Matt Dominguez lunging for it. Incomplete. So another turnover on downs for Saskatchewan. Back at Canada Stadium, and the officials want to confer here. Not sure if this is a clock issue or not. Turnover on downs, and incompletion on that Crandall pass to Dominguez. And the fans here in Winnipeg.
They got the song going early.
Yes, in fine voice. As Charles Roberts off the left side has 3. Well, Monday Night Football returns to TSN tomorrow with a doubleheader. The Baltimore Ravens take on the Cincinnati Bengals, followed by the Arizona Cardinals and the San Francisco 49ers. Live coverage begins at 7 o'clock Eastern, 4 Pacific. Available on TSN HD.
Well, I'm really looking forward to talking about the NFL, and just brings to mind the signing by the Hamilton Tire Cats of Casey Printers. I'm really looking forward to seeing him back in action in the Canadian Football League, and if he can begin the long process of turning that team around in Hamilton, and it'll take some time, even with Printers.
Kevin Glenn has R.J. Franklin over the middle, and what a hit that was. Dished out by Jermaine Chapman.
Hello. Yeah, and to get all the stuff back together, there's Franklin's got to get his stuff back together. Oh, you could see the heads just collide. Helmet to helmet. And then the adjustments begin. The adjustments to get the helmet back on right. Franklin took a few steps and then decided he better take a
Not sure
knee.
which way the huddle was.
Yeah.
Back-to-back 5-catch games for R.J. Franklin. 5 catches, 53 yards, but getting some attention after that heavy hit from Chapman. Ryan Dinwiddie into the game. Like you made the point, after seeing R.J. Franklin get hit, maybe Kevin Glenn shouldn't be left in. 26-point game. What an ovation for Kevin Glenn as he left the field. That ball up for grabs and brought down.
It was caught.
Terrence Edwards, what a catch. On his back.
On his back, off his feet. I think he kicked it back to himself. As Dinwiddie gets a chance to play it and gets outside. Yeah, I thought it might be the beginning of the fourth quarter that the watch for Kevin Glenn would be on, but look at out there as Edwards juggles that one in. And Kevin Glenn, justifiably so, got a standing ovation as he came to the sideline and handed it over.
Saw Dinwiddie come in the loss at Ivor Wynn against the Hamilton Ticats. He went 7 for 9 in the fourth quarter of that game. And that pass batted down. Maurice Lloyd got a mid on it. Let's close the book on Kevin Glenn's outstanding day.
Won't go down as one of his all-time highs in total yardage thrown, but 285 definitely enough to win this football game. He had the one interception from Maine Chapman, but he completed 76% of his passes.
5th game in 7 that he has been over 75%.
But it was the long sustained drives that really hurt the Riders early. I mean, he put together 4 drives in the first half that were 9 plays or better.
Let him go, let him go!
McCullough punting it away on 3rd down. Corey Holmes from his 10. And Greg Behrman will bring him down at the 22.
Kevin Glenn all night long has been real crisp. Very accurate, a couple to Milt Stiegel. He's used all his weapons too. I mean, we've seen a couple by Stiegel, but there's also the running game of Charles Roberts and Eric Armstrong. Terrence Edwards.
The interception streak ended here in the 7th game when he tossed one in the first half, but you made the point, 1 errant throw or 2, but then he made the adjustments he had to. Put a little more air under the football for the Stiegel touchdown, and he continues to lead the Canadian Football League in passing this season. There's a completion to Cates.
But, you know, Rider fans, I don't think have to worry too much. I mean, they've been on the wrong side of a couple of games now. One against the BC Lions. They turned the ball over 7 times in that game. Okay, other than that, their losses have been close. And this will be the other lopsided game, but full credit to the Bombers for it. This is still a very good football team in Saskatchewan and one that those fans can be proud of.
5-game win streak will come to an end. They have to redial it up, though, because next up is Calgary. Corey Grant with the catch. They're going to let him get up and continue. And the Bombers want to know why they...
You know, this is a team in first place and remain in first place because the Lions lost first time since '76, and you have to go back and look at some of the archives to see what was going on back in '76 the last time they were in first place. By the way, that movie, Rocky, that was the first one.
Rocky 1.
Yeah, that was Rocky 1 when he first went in the ring. You remember the Farrah Fawcett posters? Did you had a Farrah Fawcett poster, didn't you?
Well,
I know I did.
Dave Dickinson did. I remember reading that earlier this year.
And I love that one there. I mean, 59 cents a gallon is what we were paying for gas.
Yeah, you were buying it by the gallon, Ben, weren't you?
Yes, you were. That was the last time the Riders, you know, were in first place at this time. And I tell you what, this is a team that fans can be proud of, and they will bounce back. It's a well-coached football team.
3-minute warning has been given to the benches here at Canada Stadium. Our game story is brought to you by Sport Check, your Under Armour headquarters.
It's been really all Bombers. The Riders had a few plays. Glenn's played great. Charles Roberts, they established the run early. The Bombers had those big drives in the first half. And the Riders defense, for the first time this season, gives up a 100-yard rushing game against an opponent. I really believe, though, as the game is often won and lost down in the trenches, that it was won and lost again here this afternoon in the trenches. The O-line established a run for Winnipeg, and Winnipeg's D-line has been on top of their game, and Ken Austin's upset.
Yeah, he's upset because they allowed Corey Grant to get up and run, and then the officials decided that Corey Grant had been downed and have marked the ball back, so it's a 3rd and less than a yard. And a usually fiery Doug Barry is enjoying the fact that it's his opposite number who is...
Well, and I think what they're smiling about is that, Ken Austin is upset and should be. I mean, they had a meeting way after the fact and brought the ball back, but I think they're smiling because they're saying, this game is over, and this is a first down. But that's what Ken has done. His message to his team has always been win or lose. It's every single play matters, guys, and you got to have that consistency. They didn't have it this afternoon, but that's been Ken's message from top to bottom.
Randall on the sneak, and a flag is tossed.
He doesn't care that this game is in the books, basically. He said that every play is one that I'm going to be scrutinizing, and that's why his team has played consistently this year up until this game.
Offside. Winnipeg, number 98. 5-yard penalty. First down.
Remember, they let the game get away in Edmonton that they seem to have in control, and were beaten by a point late, and people were worried. They were 2-2, but they'd lost 2 in a row, and Ken Austin got the troops rallied, and they went off on a 5-game win streak. It ends here today. They'll be regrouping for Calgary next week. A pump from Kerry Joseph looking for Dominguez. He dropped the ball as Ian Logan had Dominguez lined up and separated the Saskatchewan receiver from the ball.
Really nice move that Dominguez throws on Drom Bolden. And he gets him to the right of your screen, gets in behind him. But you're right, that's where the safety comes in. Ian Logan, he comes across and he helps out because that impact not survived by Matt Dominguez. There's the move. Look at that. That's a nice move on Drom Bolden. He tries to recover and gets some help from the safety.
So 2nd and 10. Randall goes to the far side. There's Washington with a move on Sam Young. So Rick Marshall's got his reserves in on defense, giving them some reps.
It's a great move by Matt Dominguez. That's something that people don't talk about enough. He is a tremendous route runner. I mean, Dominguez we see win that jump ball all the time, but what a route runner he can be. That was a Ben Cahoon type of route running right there, to be able to stick that outside leg and turn Drom Bolden around.
Dominguez again, a catch and tripped up. Robert Bean on the corner. Another first down with just over 2 minutes to play. Marcus Crandall challenged Kerry Joseph coming out of camp. There was some talk early in camp that maybe he would win the job. I mean, Kerry Joseph silenced that pretty quickly with a brilliant first half of the season, but getting an indication here that the backup guy can move the ball. And he's got Dominguez wide open. And Matt Dominguez with a catch. David Bush with a punishing tackle, and Dominguez shaken up on the play.
It's a couple of hits in a row he has taken. And Drom Bolden's going to let Matt Dominguez go on this play because he's got the deep outside third coverage, and this is not good news for Ken Austin as his star receiver is down. Looked like he was holding his knee. That's not Bolden's responsibility. He's going to drop him to the deep man, who's David Bush. And there's the hit. Dominguez looked like he absorbed the contact high, but he went down awkwardly on his knee. When games like this, either team, you just hate to lose a star player when the game is pretty much decided. You can see how that knee looked like it folded in just a little bit, the left leg.
Yeah, and there's plenty of concern knowing that Matt Dominguez has a history of knee problems. And an old teammate really unloaded on him there. So Dominguez gets attention, and we'll take a timeout here in Winnipeg. Well, a reminder that next Friday, Wendy's Friday Night Football will come to you from Commonwealth Stadium. The Eskimos, who are essentially an Eastern Division team now, will play the Alouettes. A big win today, and will we see Jason Moss against his old team? Marcus Brady doesn't think so, the way he played today.
Yeah, I don't know why they do that after beating the BC Lions with Marcus Brady. That tells you what Ken Austin's thinking, as Matt Dominguez needs help to get off. You know, this season, the rosters in the CFL were increased by a couple of players last year, I should say. And, you know, as the league continues to grow stronger, and it's as strong as it's been in years and years, you know, you can only hope that more players will be added to the roster so you can get up to where in games like this, star offensive and defensive players like Matt Dominguez can be benched, and you can play some backup type of guys so you don't have this happen.
There's Crandall going into the end zone. DJ Flick, touchdown. Flick with his 8th touchdown on the season to lead all CFL receivers.
Pretty good throw by Crandall. That's the value of these reps for the Saskatchewan Roughriders that have a long way to come back. But DJ Flick in behind coverage and a pretty good throw by Marcus Crandall. Drop it up over the shoulder, and Kelly Malvo just loses that battle in the one-on-one.
6 touchdown in 6 games for Flick. Of course, the big play that was negated earlier really was, well, the beginning of the end, I guess, when Saskatchewan still looked like they had some life in the third quarter. That play that turned out to be offensive pass interference was costly. He does get into the end zone here, and it's a 34-15 game.
A couple of big plays like that, you're right, Chris, but I'm going to give you 4 names that are the reason that the Riders do not win this game. Tom Canada, Doug Brown, Jerome Haywood for sure, and Gavin Walls. This is a nice play. This is nice throw and catch, Marcus Crandall to DJ Flick. But the reason the Riders are not going to win this afternoon is because of the play of that defensive line and Kevin Glenn on offense.
Yes, sustained drives early and a defense that shut the door quickly on Saskatchewan, and this guy's been smiling all season, and why not? Bombers to regain first place in the East.
And Saskatchewan stays in first place in the West after the Montreal win against the Lions earlier today.
Well, we've got some races because Montreal is staying on Doug Barry's heels. Michael Bishop's got the Argos winning in the East now.
Well, they haven't lost with him in the lineup.
And in the West, Calgary with a sweep of their Labor Day matchups with Edmonton. Trying to make it a 3-horse race in the West against BC and Saskatchewan, and you hope it's not serious. Matt Dominguez has had both knees injured in the past, and everybody in Saskatchewan holding their breath on the severity of this latest injury to his left knee. Special teams coach Alex Smith with a last word for Jamie Borum. 2:02 remaining, and get set for a short kick here. See what the hands team can do for Saskatchewan.
They got the bunch going here. They're just going to break out of that in a hurry and just go in all types of directions. And then Borum, okay, now he's going to line up, and then the Bombers, they try and match wherever they're going to bunch both sides, so Borum can go high to the outside, or he can go backside. He's going to go
up
this
for grabs.
run.
Who's got it? And it looks like the Rough Riders got it. I believe Tad Cornegay got his hands on it. Bill Stiegel doesn't agree with it, but Cornegay appeared from this vantage point to be the last to touch the ball.
Well, he really timed his jump. Boy, Jamie Borum put this perfectly to the sideline. He wants to get good air under the football and drop it right as close to that sideline as he can. Now, you only have to touch it going out of bounds to gain possession. I think it was 17, Cornegay, who's not blocked. Clearly, he touches it there. But did Stiegel reach around? That's why Stiegel was...
Official has asked for a review.
And you can review this play. Stiegel was saying that he knocked it out.
Now, the official upstairs in the final 3 minutes has asked for the review. It can't be challenged on the field.
That's
and there's Stiegel. There's Cornegay.
And Stiegel is saying that he's the one who deliberately pushed it out of bounds. It happened to hit Cornegay on the way out.
And it's interesting that in this game, with the score what it is, that Milt Stiegel's on the field in that play. But I guess you don't get many chances to rehearse this. So
no, the hands team doesn't really have backups. I mean, they do in case a guy gets hurt somewhere else, but you only practice that once or twice in a week. So you put your hands team out there, and that's all your starters. And so Stiegel and no better hands. I was trying to get that out there. You won't find better hands than Milt Stiegel.
So Marcus Crandall has the Roughriders offense on the field, optimistically that they've got the ball once again.
Stiegel, even though the score at 34-15, you would think would be enough, but
not giving anything.
They're not giving anything. Not these two rivals.
After review, we have simultaneous first touching of the ball, and the ball landed out of bounds. Therefore, we had no possession. It's ruled, by rule, a kick out of bounds.
Interesting.
It's been that kind of day for the Saskatchewan Roughriders.
So the ruling on the field is that because it was simultaneous, then they say that it never happened. So basically they're saying because there was simultaneous, the touch of the ball was simultaneous between Stiegel and Cornegay, that never happened basically, so that you have to take it that the ball went out of bounds on its own because it was simultaneous. It eliminates each other. And that, it amazes me that this is year, I don't know, 13 or 14 for me in the booth, and I continue to get things that I've never seen before.
No, we certainly haven't seen that one before. I don't think Ken Austin has, and his incredulous reaction, I think, sums up the afternoon from a Saskatchewan Roughrider point of view.
He's saying what I'm thinking is if they both touch it, then it eliminates each other, so therefore it never happened. It just...
Okay, we'll make you an official at home. Who touches it last?
Well, it looked like it went off his head last. It looked like it was a nice header.
And then actually bounced off Milt Stiegel's helmet as well. Fred Reed's into the game, the backup running back. Charles Roberts will be stopped short of a 100-yard game here because
I will say
his day's done.
I will say this, so Chris, that the Ken Austin, still trying to figure that last one out. There was a couple of real questionable ones. I thought the pass interference to Rontarius Robinson in the end zone, that was real questionable. That gave the Bombers a chance for another major, which they got. And then the DJ Flick offensive interference was also one that was very questionable. But those happen.
Ryan Dinwiddie with another strike. Neil Wilson has the catch.
Overall, I think the game's been officiated quite well. And in fact, the officiating, I've seen improvement. There's still mistakes being made. There was a mistake made in the Calgary-Edmonton game over the catch by Nowacki. But the bottom line is I really believe that it has improved since the beginning of the season, like the teams have improved, because it's joint responsibility to continue to eliminate flags. The responsibility between the coaches and teams to get their teams right and the officials to keep working on their game. But the first half of this game, I think we had 3 penalties.
Which is a sign that both the officials and the players are doing their job.
Yeah, and they're getting better. And you know what? I guarantee you that the officials that are down in the trenches, and I know they are always the focus of a lot of complaints in the league, but the officials down in the trenches want it that way. They don't want us talking about them. They want to do the game without throwing a flag. That's what they'd like.
Fred Reed off the left side. Anton McKenzie the tackle. Fred Reed had a big kickoff return earlier in this game to set up one of the Winnipeg scores.
The only other thing I'll add to that is that we up here in the booth always have the luxury of 3 or 4 different looks. And I will guarantee you the game happens very quickly down at field level. And overall, those officials do a pretty good job. Although I'm still not sure about the simultaneous.
No, but
I'm going to have to get that one cleared up. But
2nd and 5. Dinwiddie hit as he got it away, but it's a completion. Jamie Stoddard brought down quickly by Chapman. By the way, Ryan Dinwiddie, a quarterback that Doug Barry's got a lot of confidence in. He hasn't had to go to him much this year because of the way Kevin Glenn has played, but he has told us that Dinwiddie's made progress. He's got a bit of a swagger, and he's a guy that is familiar with the system, gaining confidence. And under duress there from Mike McCullough, throws a strike. And
well, you know, and it's one thing to be around a system a couple of years, but if it's a system that's struggling and your team's not winning, it's tough to learn. I mean, right now Dinwiddie has a chance to watch Kevin Glenn execute the offense the way it's supposed to be executed.
Right.
And he can get so much more out of that than he can from a team that's struggling. And I would say that this year he's probably learned more than ever.
3rd and 1. And Fred Reed off the right side has a first down, and Reed still going. Dropped at the 19-yard line. Well, Fred Reed showed us a little something in Hamilton in garbage time against the Tiger Cats about a month ago, and he shows you a little bit more here.
Well, I mean, you know, for Bomber fans, I'll knock on wood before I say this, because he's kind of like a backup running back in Winnipeg is kind of like the backup quarterback had been in Montreal. You just don't know who they are because they never see the field. Charles Roberts has been so reliable, and again, I'll knock on wood because after I said that, Anthony Calvillo got hurt in Montreal.
Just saw the stat about 147 yards rushing against Saskatchewan. The Roughriders were number 1, still will be. 61.4-yard average coming into the game, but they ran on Kent Austin's defense today, and time for one more play. And the Banjo Bowl is going to be won by the Winnipeg Blue Bombers in convincing fashion here today. One more knee, final play. As the Winnipeg Blue Bombers move back into first place in the East by beating the first place team in the West. Doug Barry's team prevailing 34-15 in the rematch as these Prairie rivals split their head-to-head series.